So quiz tomorrow is on 7.1 and 7.2. The first three questions say find the degree of the monomial. So what's the degree for number 1? 3. What about for 2? 5. And 3? 7. Awesome. When you have two exponents on your variables, you just add them together. Perfect. All right, next we have to write the degree, or write the polynomial in standard form, identify it by the degree, the leading coefficient, and classify it by the name using the degree. So let's put it in standard form first. What would come first? Awesome. Negative 4h to the third power, then
Let's go.
plus 5h minus 2. What's our leading coefficient? And then how many terms do we have? What do we call something with 3 terms? Trinomial. All right, number 5. How would we put it in standard form? 4p to the third power plus 10. Perfect. What's our leading coefficient? 4. And how many terms do we have? What do we call something with 2 terms? Binomial. All right, number 6. We only have 1 term, so standard form would just be 6v to the 7th power. What's our leading coefficient? 6. And then just 6. It's just the number in front. And then we have 1 term. So what do you call something with 1 term? Monomial. What if something had 4 terms? What would we call that? Polynomial. All right, next we're going to find the sum. So we're adding them. So we just add all of our like terms together. What is 7t minus 4t? 3t. And then what is 6 minus 2? 4. So 3t plus 4. All right, let's do number 10 right below it. So again, we're just combining our like terms. 3j to the 2nd power minus 6j to the 2nd power would be what? Negative 3j to the 2nd power. Perfect. The variable part stays the same. What about negative 7j minus 4j? Negative 11j. And then lastly, we have 1 plus 9 plus 10. Any questions here? Do you want to see more, or you feel okay with these? All right, let's subtract. So I'm going to do 14. What's the first thing we have to do when we subtract? So when we're finding the difference, what do we do first? Distribute the negative. So it gets distributed to everything behind it. So that means everything behind it, we change the signs. Negative 6y squared plus 7y plus 2. So everything behind the minus, the signs flip. Now let's combine the like terms. What's 3y squared minus 6y squared? Negative 3y squared. Perfect. What about negative 6y plus 7y? Y, so plus y. And then 9 plus 2, 11. Questions here? Let's do 15. What's the first step we have to do when we are finding the difference? Distribute the minus. We distribute that to everything behind it. So this turns into plus 2b squared minus 8b and plus 1. So everything behind it flips signs. Now we just combine our like terms. So 5b squared plus 2b squared would be 7b squared. Negative 6b minus 8b. Negative 14b. And negative 9 plus 1. Negative 8. All right, let's do 17. So 17, we are subtracting. We're finding the difference here. So what do we have to do first? Distribute. So it turns into minus p squared plus 5pq and minus 9q squared. What would we combine first? So those do get combined, negative 6pq and 5pq. But first I would just stick with the order that they have here. So 3p squared minus p squared would be what? 2p squared. Then we can do negative 6pq plus 5pq. What would that be? Negative 1pq or just negative pq. And then 7q squared minus 9q squared. Negative 2q squared. So that would be our answer. So 7.2, we're finding the product, so we are multiplying. How would we multiply when we have a binomial times a binomial? What's that F word that we like? FOIL. So we start by multiplying the first. What's x times x? X to the second power, x squared. Then we multiply the outsides. What's x times 5? 5x. Then the insides, 4 times x? 4x. And then the last, what's 4 times 5? 20. So we have x squared. We combine the like terms together. What's 5x plus 4x? 9x plus 20. And this would be our answer. Let's do number 3. So we're going to FOIL again here. So start by multiplying the first. What's x times x?
X squared.
X squared. Then the outsides. What's x times negative 7? Negative 7x. The insides. Negative 2x. And then the last. What's negative 2 times negative 7? Positive 14. Bless you. What's the last step we have to do? Combine the like terms. So we start with x squared. What's negative 7x minus 2x? Negative 9x and then plus 14. That would be our answer. Any questions here? Let's do number 6 right below it. So what would I multiply first? 2x times x would be what? 2x to the power of 2. What would be next? What's 2x times negative 1? Negative 2x. And then what? What's negative 3 times x? Negative 3x. And then what's last? Negative 3 times negative 1, which would be positive 3. Last step, we combine our like terms. So 2x squared. What is negative 2x minus 3x? Negative 5x. And then plus 3. Let's do 13. So going down a little bit to 13. What would we do first? So 2 times 7 would be 14. 2 times negative t. Chloe, what's 2 times negative t? Negative 2 t. What's negative 5t times 7? Negative 35t. And then last are negative 5t times negative t. Negative times a negative would be positive 5t to the second power. So let's combine our like terms. We have 14. What's negative 2t minus 35t? Negative 37t plus 5t squared. Is this in standard form? No. Let's rewrite it in standard form. What would have to come first in standard form? 5t to the second power. What would come next? Awesome. So minus 37t and then plus 14. So 16 through 18 is just a little bit more than foiling because we have a binomial times a trinomial. So we just have to make sure everything in the first set of parentheses gets distributed to everything in the second. So starting with x. What's x times x to the second power? X to the power of 3. What's x times 5x? 5x to the power of 2. And what's x times 1? X. What would I do next? Awesome. We do the same thing with the 2. 2 times x to the second power. 2x to the second power. 2 times 5x. 10x. And 2 times 1. 2. All right, what do we do next? Combine like terms. What would I start with? X to the power of 3. So we got that one. Next, we have x to the second power. So 5x to the second power plus 2x to the second power. What would that be? 7x to the second power. Then what? X plus 10x would be what? 11x. Awesome, because this is like saying 1x. So 1 plus 10 is 11. And then lastly, plus 2. So that would be your answer. So we just did -7 times h squared. Chloe, what do we do next? Richard, what's -7 times -3h? So it'd be positive because it's a negative times a negative. 21, and we have an h. All right, Alvin, what do we do next? -7 times 2, and what would that be? -14. Perfect. All right, Mia, what's our last step? I called Mia.
Well, I didn't say the answer yet.
We combine like terms. Mia, what do we start with? What's our highest degree term that we have here? H to the third power, so that's going to be the first one we write. Sophia, what's next? Add the h to the second power. So what's -3h to the second power minus 7h to the second power? -10h to the second power. Perfect. Dylan T, what do we do next? We got to finish combining our like terms, so what's next? What's 2h plus 21h? 23h to the second power. Dylan P, what would come last? -14. Perfect. So that would be our answer. You're right. This should just be h. I was just making sure you guys were still paying attention. Any questions? I'll let you pick. Which one do you want to do? 8, 9, 10, 11.
You didn't let us pick.
Let's do 9. All right, Nestor, what do we do first? So what gets multiplied first? The W. What's W times W? W times W? W to the second power. Then we do the outside. So what's W times -5? Chris. W times -5.
W5. I mean, -5 W.
-5W. Then the inside, Dylan. Dylan P.
Yes, ma'am.
What do we get when we multiply the insides?
Huh?
6.
Oh, 6 W.
And then Nestor, what do we get when we multiply the last one? 6 times -5. -30. Nestor, what's the last step? Combine like terms. So what do we start with? Shh. What's negative 5w plus 6w? Shh, Dylan. Shh. Chloe. 1w. Negative 5 plus 6 would be 1, so that would be just w. And then last? Minus 30.